Hey guys, what's going on here? It's Remraf7. Welcome back to episode 6 of the Minecraft Survival Let's Play series. Today we're going to be trying to get fortune on our other diamond pickaxe, decorate our nether portal with a mushroom type of design, as well as decorate our enchanting setup with a mushroom type of design as well, and also build a skeleton Minecraft XP farm. So before we go ahead and get in today's video, let me go ahead and cover everything I did off camera because guys, I'm not gonna lie, I did a lot. And I know at the beginning of the series, I said that this was going to be a slow Minecraft survival let's play. However, what we're going to be doing and building in today's episode required a lot of materials. So I went ahead and did a good amount of work whenever it came to acquiring said materials, but also things like decorating around the world like I have in between previous episodes. And so what I've gone ahead and done is wrote down every single thing that I could possibly think of that we would want to do in this world, and you guys would think that this is a lot. However, there's actually a whole nother backside to it, and you can see it ranges from things like farms all the way to other builds like spaceships, museums, boardwalks, a map room, cactus farms, you know, things of that nature. So something else I added in between episodes were these cherry blossom trees. I feel like they just add so much shade and color into our Minecraft survival world, and they're honestly just the perfect touch around our survival base. Another thing I did in between episodes, if you guys go ahead and look at our hotbar, is I went into the nether and got a few more levels. That way we can go ahead and try to get fortune on our pickaxe at the start of today's episode. That way, whenever it comes to our mining episodes, we can go ahead and hopefully not have to get individual ores. So another thing I did in between episodes is I went exploring to find a jungle biome. That way we have enough materials for today's fishing hut that we're going to be building. And I actually already prepared most of the materials that we're going to need for it right here. And as you guys can tell, I actually kind of labeled where things are going to be going in today's episode as well. And so another thing I did in between episodes is I went ahead and while I was getting the jungle logs for today's fishing hut is I took the vines off of those trees and sheared them and then did a little bit more detail on the bridge to where it looks like it's kind of aging a little bit. And the last thing I went ahead and did, and I know this is kind of a lot for work done in between episodes, but I went ahead and found a desert biome. That way we could go ahead and get some sand for today's build because we needed some concrete powder for our mushroom buildings. But besides that, that was all I did in between episodes. I just wanted to make sure that today's episode was very easy and quick whenever it came to having to go get the materials for today's builds because we're going to be doing a lot in today's episode. So like I mentioned in the intro of today's episode is we're going to be going ahead and trying to get fortune on our diamond pickaxe, which means we're probably going to have to unenchant this diamond pickaxe in order for us to get that enchant on it, but that is totally fine with me. That will definitely save us so much time in the long run. What we're also going to be going ahead and doing is we're going to be building the mushroom enchanting building right here, as well as a few more decorative mushrooms in between the nether portal and the enchanting building. But we're also going to be trying to make the nether portal designed as a mushroom as well. So while I was getting the materials for that in the dark oak forest, what I actually found was a skeleton spawner. And so we're going to be trying to make that an XP farm. I feel like it kind of would have been rude if I went and actually opened up the chest inside the skeleton spawner, as well as like lit it up and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that in today's episode. I promise I didn't even look inside the chest or even go inside the skeleton spawner. I literally just saw the mossy cobblestone and then the regular cobblestone and the skeletons coming out of it. And I was like, all right, we're going to leave that for today's episode. But that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and get started on what we need to go ahead and do in today's episode, which will require us to go ahead and unenchant our diamond pickaxe. And then let's see what we can go ahead and get on this. Is it okay? It's unbreaking again, please. And it's just unbreaking. That's so sad. Okay, so I guess we're just going to be pretty much trying to re-roll until we get, oh, okay. So this is efficiency 4, which means we have a pretty good chance of possibly getting fortune as an add-on enchantment. But let's go ahead and sleep really quick. I guess we have to wait a little bit. We can watch the scenic sunset. And since we're so close to level 30, we might as well just go ahead and see if we can breed the animals to see if that will be enough XP for us to go ahead and re-roll this enchantment. And let's go ahead and come in here. I know this is probably really loud for you guys, but let's go ahead and see how much levels we can get. And boom, there we go. That was pretty easy peasy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see if we can get fortune on this pickaxe. Hopefully it comes with fortune. That would be really nice. And it's just efficiency 4. That is not what I was looking for. Let's go ahead and see if we can re-roll this and possibly get... Oh, it's not. Okay, so it's not fortune. So we might have to save that towards the end of today's episode when we build the skeleton XP farm. But for now, we can go ahead and just, I guess, breed the rest of these cows. And I think because we're going to keep the nether portal kind of as an open entrance type of building, it's going to be a lot smaller of a mushroom compared to the actual enchanting setup mushroom, if that's what you want to call it. But we'll go ahead and start on that first. So what we're going to go ahead and need is some birch. We're going to need some of our red wool, some of our white wool, some red concrete powder, and some of our sand as well. So I do believe if you go ahead and put 4 sand in a crafting table like that, yes, you get sandstone. So we'll go ahead and do a little bit of that really quick. I think just to make this a little bit more efficient, we're going to go ahead and run over here to the storage room and then go inside the stone cutter and make a few sandstone walls, which we shouldn't need a lot of. So I think 11 is going to be perfect. And then this is what I was thinking for the nether portal. So we're going to go ahead and surround it kind of like so, kind of on all sides to pretty much hide the obsidian. And then we're going to take our axe and we're just going to strip all these logs, kind of serving as like the base of a mushroom. And then just like all of our other builds, we're going to go ahead and take some of the actual birch wood logs and then we're going to turn them into birch planks. And that's going to serve as our detail blocks like so. And we can go ahead and make a few slabs like that. And I think we're going to keep these on the ground like so. I think I like that. And then we'll go ahead and make a few stairs as well. And then we'll put these on the top. I think this, nope, that is not what I meant. I think something like this should look good. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. And then let's go ahead and go around. And I think we're going to keep these side ones a little bit shorter. Okay, so I think we'll start off with something like that. And then we'll go ahead and match it on the other side as well. And then we'll actually cover up this backside completely with birch logs. And then we'll just make sure to continue adding a little bit of detail within those birch logs. And then this is where the fun comes in. So we're going to go ahead and actually take some of the terracotta that I got from the desert biome and then some of our red dye right here. We'll go ahead and go into the crafting table and then we'll put this around like so and then put this red dye in the middle and boom, we get red terracotta. And then we'll go ahead and get some dirt kind of as our temporary scaffolding because whenever I was in the jungle biome, all I was doing was pretty much just getting the wood. I did not try to actually explore anything. I think that's something that we're going to try to leave as an actual in-episode activity. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and place our dirt right here on the sides like so. And then this is, yes, like I said earlier, where it gets fun. So we're going to go ahead and kind of make this overhanging the birch kind of like so. And then just to add the depth, what we're going to go ahead and do is pretty much something like this to leave the corners like that. And then we can go ahead and fill in this layer as well. And then for this top layer, we'll go ahead and leave it something like that. And I think if we come down, we can go ahead and see if this looks somewhat decent, which I think I'm pretty happy with so far. And then we're going to go ahead and add the detail to the actual roof of the mushroom, which we're going to use some wool to do, and then some of the concrete powder, and then also some of the red concrete. And we'll just come in here like so and randomly go throughout the entire roof and just add a little bit of texture throughout all these reds that we have in our inventory. Kind of something like that, but then this is where the fun part comes in, and we get to take this white wool and pretty much just add it as the white specks on the roof of the mushroom. Probably do something like that. Maybe one right here, maybe one on this side, one right here, maybe one on this underside on the back, and then maybe one right here as well. Which, yes, that just looks so much better. I love this already. Okay, and then we'll take our sandstone wall and probably place it something like that, and take our actual mushroom blocks that we got with our silk touch axe in the dark oak forest and place these smaller mushrooms around it like so. And I did grab some of the brown ones as well, so we can also do something like that. And then we need to head back to the storage room really quick because I think we have a few of the actual mushrooms, and then we'll see if we can actually place these around our mushroom building. I know it requires a certain light level, so it might not let us, but we'll go ahead and try anyway. Oh, and I totally ran past this, but guys, we added a little bit of light sources on the bridge and just did a little bit of a different design than we did last episode, which just gives it a lot more light as you go throughout the trail, which makes it look a lot cooler at night. But anyway, okay, so we can't actually place these around the portal, which is kind of what I was afraid of. But what we can do is if we take these stripped birch logs, we can make some birch shelves like so. And then these should be able to cover up these sides of the portal that we can't hide, which I think looks pretty good so far. And then let's go ahead and head back into the storage room and let's see if we have any lanterns, which we actually currently do not, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and go into our starter house really quick and then smelt some wood. And then that way we can get some coal, which will allow us to make some torches, which in turn will allow us to make some lanterns. So we can go ahead and make 12 torches like so. And then we'll take these torches and then make them into lanterns. We can go ahead and put the rest back for now. And then let's go ahead and head back over to the portal, and then we should be able to add these as decoration around the portal, and it'll also give it some light sources as well. And I think if we just put them on diagonal ends like that, that looks pretty good already. And then let's go ahead and grab some oak leaves really quick. That way we can go ahead and add some bushes around this mushroom as well. Something like that looks pretty good with me. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is take our sandstone walls again, and then we're going to make a different type of mushroom. This one's going to be slightly bigger than these smaller mushrooms, but it's not going to be nearly as big as this actual mushroom that's covering our nether portal. So what we'll go ahead and do is make that 3 tall, something like that, and then we'll cover all of these corners. And then we'll just place one on top, and then I think that's what I want to do. That's not a bad looking mushroom if I do say so myself. And then we'll go ahead and add another one of these mushrooms on the back side of this opposite side. And then we'll just do one of these smaller mushrooms like that, and then probably another one, but a brown one right here. Actually, wait, I want to go ahead and flip these because we have this brown one, so it'll give it a little bit more distance between the two. Something like so, which I love already. Okay, we're looking great. And then we're actually going to go ahead and build a regular sized mushroom behind the actual nether portal itself, but we need to go ahead and clear this oak tree really quick. And then now that we've taken care of that tree, we can go ahead and place these actual mushroom stems, something like so. And then we'll take our red mushroom blocks like so, and then build the standard Minecraft red mushroom, doing something like so. And then I think that's going to go ahead and cover the nether portal design. And so now we can go ahead and get started on the enchanting setup building. And then we're going to actually have to go ahead and move most of this stuff a little bit further away from where the actual building is going to go itself. And so how we're going to go ahead and start off the base of this mushroom, because it's going to be quite a bit bigger, is we'll go ahead and take our mushroom stems and our white concrete and our white concrete powder, as well as our white terracotta. And so we're going to go ahead and finish terraforming this. That way we can make this completely flat, just so it's on a different level from the nether portal mushroom. And we're going to start with white concrete for the base of this mushroom. And then we'll go ahead and replicate this pattern on all the sides like so. Something like that looks pretty good to me. And then we're actually going to go ahead and fill in these side walls. And then we're going to go ahead and add these indents on each side like so. And kind of do the same thing. Keep working our way inward but upward in this square sort of fashion for the stem. So I'll go ahead and get started on that. And then we'll go ahead and fill in this layer like so. And now what we'll go ahead and do is take our mushroom stem and outline it kind of like so. Okay, so this is what the stem looks like. And then now we're going to go ahead and get started on the top part of the mushroom. We'll go ahead and grab all of our red blocks to do the roof. And what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we'll bring this out one more block on each side like so. And then we'll do something like that. And then we'll add some of these white speckles using the white terracotta. And I think doing something like this looks pretty decent. And then coming out on all these sides, we're going to do something kind of like we were doing earlier, where we're going to go up 2 blocks tall, something like so, all around the outside of this edge. And then just to make this a little bit easier going up and down, I'm going to go ahead and add some ladders really quick, which are just going to be temporary for now. But eventually we will have ladders going up into the enchantment room. And then we're going to go ahead and bring this one in and then do the same thing again. Something like so. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing all the way to where the roof of the mushroom looks something like that. And then we're going to go ahead and texture it the same way that we did the nether portal roof. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with all the texture on top of the mushroom roof. Let's go ahead and add the enchanting table in that room up top. So now that we're in the mushroom, I think what we're going to go ahead and do is make this little area right here a spruce flooring. So let's go ahead and actually go to the storage room really quick and grab some spruce wood. And then we'll also go ahead and smelt some of this glass. And then what we can do with this is we can put this in a crafting table like so. And then we'll go ahead and put a white dye in the middle. And now we have white stained glass. And it can act as kind of like a window/windows for the top of the mushroom. And you know what? I don't think that looks too great. So we'll probably end up changing this. But just for now, we'll just go ahead and leave it there so it brings some light into the room. But what I'm thinking we can do here is I think we'll go ahead and strip the floor, something like that. And then we can do spruce wood in the center like so. But as far as the flooring goes, I think we're going to do something like this. And if we want to cover it up, we can always cover it up with carpets. And then what we can do here is we're going to go ahead and actually take this down now. We'll go ahead and add in the enchanting table. And I think because of how the room is oriented, we're going to have to keep the enchanting table something like that. It still gives us level 30 enchants, but at the same time, it kind of maintains the flexibility of the room. And so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is grab some decoration blocks for that room. I'm not 100% sure on how I want to orient that room. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate the room to what I think I'll end up liking. And then I will be right back whenever I show you guys what that looks like. All right, let's go ahead and do a grand reveal. I'm actually really proud of this room. It looks super cozy. I was able to get it to where it looks good, but at the same time, it's still functional. You know, you got your nice little barrels over here. You got your grindstone. You got your anvil for combining any enchantments or any tools that you want to together. Overall, I think this looks absolutely great, guys. But besides the interior, there is one more thing I'm going to go ahead and do to this mushroom, which we're going to be adding another stem to it, which I think is going to be coming out to the left because all the other mushrooms are here. But at the same time, that could look like all the mushrooms are crowded together versus kind of growing out in its own way. So I kind of have to think about this for a second. Okay, so I've thought about it for a little bit. We're going to go ahead and actually do it on the right side if you're facing the actual enchantment building itself. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and do that is because I don't want it to look like all the mushrooms are just kind of crowding in one area. I want it to look like they're naturally spreading out and, you know, kind of expanding and growing, if that makes sense. Okay, so first things first, before we're actually even able to do this, I have to go ahead and make some white concrete powder like so. And then for some reason, why are you in here, dude? Yep, come get it. Okay, so like I was saying before that piglin just rudely interrupted me, we got to go ahead and use this white concrete, and we'll probably save about 10 of it to be white concrete powder, but the rest of it is going to be white concrete. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is build all the way up in the sky, and because white concrete powder falls like sand, we can just mine the very last block at the bottom, and then it will just gradually fall and it will all turn into white concrete. And before we go ahead and jump down, I just wanted to go ahead and say, look at how nice everything looks from the bird's eye view. This definitely gives me a good perspective of where I'm going to be placing future builds. But before we go ahead and get struck by lightning, let's go ahead and jump down. All right, and we are going to need to go to bed actually before we start mining that, because I do not want to die to these mobs, even though we probably won't because we're pretty geared out. Okay, so let's go ahead and mine all of this really quick. The diamond pickaxe should make this go pretty fast. Okay, so we're going to start out with a base like this for the stem, and then I'll just tweak it enough to where we get a nice little curve going, and then we'll do the same roof pattern for that as well. Okay, I'm overall pretty happy with how this stem turned out. It's not the prettiest looking, but I'm sure I'll be able to tweak it in between episodes and it won't look that much different. But for now, let's go ahead and start the cap on this mushroom. Okay, so same thing. Let's go ahead and grab all of our red blocks that we're going to use for this cap. And we can go ahead and outline it the exact same way that we did for the top part of the mushroom. And then we can go ahead and fill in this layer like so. And then we will do one more layer on top. And I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and start the texturing phase right now. And I think I'm overall pretty happy with that. Now let's go ahead and add the white spots to it. We can do one right here, one right here, one right here, do one in the middle. We can add one on the edge on this backside, and add one on that corner, maybe one right there. We'll do the one on the corner on this side. And I think that is going to do it. Now let's go ahead and get down and let's look at it from a distance. And you know what? I'm honestly pretty happy with how that turned out. So let's go ahead and do a recap, because I also did add a little bit of interior on the first floor. Nothing crazy, but obviously it was better than the grass floor that we had before. And I think this is where we're going to end off today's episode. So let's go ahead and cue the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy, I would highly appreciate if you guys liked the video. If you guys have any ideas of what we should add to our checklist board, feel free to comment that down below. And if you guys like the series or think I'm someone that you guys would end up watching long term, I would highly appreciate if you guys subscribed to the channel. But without further ado, I will go ahead and see you guys in episode 7. Later!